Can you make $100,000 a month with a cleaning business?
Now more than ever is the best time to start a cleaning business.
You can start a job tomorrow, and I promise you will have your first customer within days.
Well, these three did, starting with very little money and while having a full-time job.
I probably spent under $1,000 to get going.
Monthly revenue was $60,000. Now we're like $120 a month.
By 2025, 83% of homeowners in America will have an in-house home cleaner.
In the first year of me quitting my job to travel, we tripled the business. Here's a tip which has made us millions of dollars.
Today, we're breaking down how they did it and how you can do the same. Let's dive into your story about Queen Bee Cleaning Services and how you ended up starting it.
Yeah,
we can work and
yeah, definitely. So it's a pretty fun story. You know, I was selling cars at the time, making good money. My wife was the one who started the idea. She's like, we should start a cleaning company. I just didn't see myself doing it. I said no, but I'm glad that she convinced me because I decided to start the website and just taking the calls myself. And 3 months in, she was making more money than I was. And at that time, I decided to quit my job and go full in.
Is it a good time to start a cleaning business or not?
I think it's the best time to start a cleaning business. To give you an idea of how much of the demand is, or last year, our monthly revenue was $60,000. Now we're like $120 a month. So it's like double. And sometimes we turn jobs away. So you can start a job tomorrow, and I promise you will have your first customer within days.
Tell us just a little bit about yourself and anything else you want to add.
Yeah, so I'm Austin, the CEO and owner of Spruse Cleaning and Spruce Home Inc., a parent company for all things clean.
How has your sales and revenue changed? What can you share on that? Where are you at today and expected for end of this year?
Sales and revenue has grown month after month, roughly between 18 and 25%. And we plan on continuing to grow that with more ad spend as we go.
Awesome. We'll dive into that more. Tell us where Neil was before MaidThis came into the picture and what drew you to starting your own cleaning business.
Yes, I was actually working in corporate America. I was working in finance and private equity, a normal 9 to 5 in a cubicle, heavy on the computer, heavy on Excel.
Yeah.
And when I was there, I realized that this is just not really the life I wanted. 2 years of vacation every year, being overworked, underappreciated. I just wanted something more for myself. And I knew I wanted to start some sort of side hustle. I didn't really know what it was going to be, but I knew it had to fulfill some key characteristics I was looking for in my lifestyle.
What were the startup costs for MaidThis back in the day? Break it down for us.
Absolutely. So I probably spent under $1,000 to get going. So that's all you really need for this type of business. It's pretty lean. There's not like trucks, vehicles, wraps, nothing like that. You just need internet connection. So
sweet.
I spent probably like $100 on a WordPress template and built my first website. I didn't know what I was doing. Like I found hosting and I got a really crappy website and just got it up. It's something like version 1. And now it's so much easier because there's all these AI tools that spin up websites, a lot of different tools to make easy websites.
For less than $100 either.
Oh yeah. And my logo was so bad. I was on the Microsoft Word and I just came up with a name from Reddit and I just typed in MaidThis with the exclamation mark and that was my logo. That was it.
You didn't give it much thought.
No. And I don't think you really need to. I think people overthink these small things. You could always make changes as you go. The real cost for me, though, is the amount of time I spent. Hundreds of hours of researching stuff, trial and error, getting things going. Now, could I have done that much faster in hindsight? Yeah, for sure. But a lot of your earlier stages in business is just kind of figuring it out, figuring out what to do, and just that's the biggest cost. In reality, it's not the money, it's the time spent.
Yeah, you only have so much time.
Absolutely.
All right, Chris, let's talk about your startup cost and break down the $5,000, how you invested that.
For sure. So the original investment was $5,000. So it was $4,000 for a Honda Accord, I remember. It was a black Accord,
Okay.
2003, I remember it very well. A professional backing was $500. About another $300 in supplies. And the rest was just flyers and business cards. And so that's it.
What are some challenges of starting your own business, like managing the time while you're doing your full-time job and then you're working on something on the side? Kind of what did you learn through the process?
When I was working at 9 to 5, this was the first time I was actually starting my own business. And I think there's a lot of things you don't know. And one thing I realized in hindsight is a lot of people who are working a 9 to 5, they have that employee mindset. And we're always taught you just got to work harder and grind. And that's kind of what I was doing. I was doing everything myself for my business while I was having a 9 to 5. It was just a lot to do. And the reality is in business, it's a little bit different. There's actually fast forward buttons in business you can have, which don't really exist in a 9 to 5. And it took me a while to realize that, wait, can I just pay a coach or someone to tell me what to do? Someone's already figured this out. Why am I doing everything myself?
Yeah.
And I think
big deal.
earlier on in business, That's the struggle people get into. They think they got to figure it out themselves. The reality is they don't. Treasure map's kind of already built. People have done it before. Why not just speed up the process a lot more?
So key takeaway, if you don't know what you're doing, don't necessarily spend months, potentially years learning it. Get somebody else that's already done it.
Find a Sherpa is kind of what I would say.
Yeah.
So like, let's say you're gonna go hike Mount Everest.
Yeah.
You're not gonna show up with all your pack and say, all right, there's the mountain, I'm just gonna go to it, right? You're gonna hire some local Nepalese dude who's gonna be able to guide you along the way, tell you what to do, say, step here, don't step here. Why not just do that in business? It'd be so much faster.
Is it a good time to start a cleaning business right now?
I would say now more than ever is the best time to start a cleaning business. They predict by 2025, 83% of homeowners in America will have a in-house home cleaner. For cleaning services is supposed to be growing by $20 billion annually, or 20% annually for a total market cap of $20 billion by 2025. The fastest growing market right now in the country.
So clearly a pretty cheap business to get into.
Remotely, yes.
Right.
It is a very accessible industry right now.
Chris, what's one thing that you did early on in the game that helped set you up for where you are today and continuing to grow?
Just online marketing. A lot of companies still want to grow, by referrals and whatnot, and you still grow, but very slow. If you invest money right from the get-go, you will scale so fast, but at the same time, try to protect your reputation. I think if you put marketing, but then protect your reputation, get reviews,
right?
That's a perfect recipe for success.
When did you know that it was time to quit and go full-time to pursuing MaidThis?
Yeah, I think the number is personal for everyone. It's what I call the freedom number, right? And a lot of the times if you ask people, hey, how much do you want in monthly income coming in to feel comfortable? The most common answer is $10,000 a month, right? It's kind of like if you ask someone pick a number between 1 and 10 and everyone says 7.
Yeah.
Right, but the real number, what I call the freedom number, is probably a lot less. So for me, the number was relatively small. It was around $3,000 a month. And I hit that around the end of year 2. In hindsight, I probably could have hit that way quicker if I actually knew what I was doing. But I didn't, but I hit that number.
It's a side hustle too.
Yeah, there we go. And I booked a one-way flight down to South America, Colombia. I quit my job and then just started traveling.
That's it?
Yeah. And I was supposed to travel for 1 year. I loved it so much, so it ended up becoming 7 years of travel across 50 countries. If I also was able to build my business, and get this, in the first year of me quitting my job to travel, we tripled the business in terms of size. Yeah.
Well, I think that kind of ties into the secret sauce that you are implementing that is sending new customers his way in droves, you guys. And keep watching to find out what that is, because when you hear it, you're going to be like, how in the world did I not know this before? Tell us about your Spruse revenue and profit margins. Let's just focus on Spruse Cleaning.
Okay, Spruse Cleaning, we're averaging between 100 and 115,000 a month. It fluctuates, of course, based on the month. But yeah, that's our revenue.
And profit margins?
Sit at 45%.
Okay.
Which is one of the highest in our industry.
Man, you know your numbers. Give us the breakdown on revenue.
Yeah, absolutely. And it totally varies depending what stage of business you're at. So my business now is pretty mature. I'm able to manage it with a few hours per week.
10 years now?
10 years. I can't believe it's already been a decade, but yeah, it's been 10 years already since the start of the business. So now we're probably doing around between 100 and 150,000 per month in revenue for my LA location alone. Now, each franchise location is, of course, different, but that's typically the growth rate we're at right now.
And then margins on that vary from a low to high what?
Yeah, and again, when you start your business, you're probably over-investing in marketing and growth, so maybe the margins are less. We're at around 25% profit margin at the moment, and I'd say industry standard varies between, let's say, 12.5 to 30 for this kind of remote local type of model.
Gotcha, not bad. How do you come up with how much to charge?
Yeah, definitely. So this is what I did, and I think everybody should do that. I mean, I didn't know anything about charging. I remember the very first job, it was a move out. My wife hated me for it. I think we charged $90, and she really spent like 12 hours with another lady.
Oh no!
And so after I was like, okay, I need to find out what is the market paying. So what I did, I called companies in my area, and I said, hey, how much will you charge me for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom? And I got some quotes. Then from there, I kind of said, okay, well, I'm not at that level yet because I don't have that reputation, but now I know I'm really underbidding and I should charge more. So I will say, call a few companies in your area and you know, we get different quotes. That way you see how much are charging, and that will give you a good number.
Does every business have the ability to go remote, being a local business?
To answer directly, no, not every business can be remote. You have to have a remote local business. And I'll explain exactly what that is. But what I realized when I was doing, let's say, e-commerce, drop shipping, all these kinds of things, is those are traditionally remote businesses. But it's really hard because you're competing against the entire world when you're doing that. When it comes to a local business, you're competing only against your local market, right?
Yeah.
That makes it a lot easier to get new sales. The reality is, with how fast technology has moved, you can have a local business be managed completely remotely if you pick the right model and hit 3 main pieces of criteria. Number one, the labor has to dispatch to the job directly, right? You might have a lot of places where your staff has to report to a location. Let's say you have a gym, like of course your staff has to be there and there's an actual physical location. This can't be a remote local business. So you think, what are the business models where the staff could go to the job site directly? A lot of the home service hits this category, if we think about it, because of course you're doing the work at the client's home. The second one would be not a lot of CapEx or overhead, right? If you have a gym or office space or places where you're holding a lot of supplies, it's really hard to be remote if you have to go to a place to give people supplies. And the last piece is key management pieces have to be able to be done remotely. Picking up the phones, we talked about routes to my team in South Africa, or if cleaners need help, that could route to my remote team and everything's done via phone call, even customer quotes. If you think about it, all of that gets done over the phone. And that's how you could find a remote local business and turn a traditionally old school business to be remote.
That's really cool. What about your monthly overhead though? Now that you're at 22 to 25 employees, what is the overhead monthly just to cover costs? And what's the most expensive thing every month?
So our most expensive thing is the labor. It really is. It comes down to, you know, we have to pay good wages, otherwise we don't keep good people. Our expense on labor is about 60%.
60 a month, okay.
And then I will say supplies, that's another 10%. And marketing operations, another, you know, 10%. So you end up with ideally 20%, on the lowest 15% net.
Gotcha, okay. So your profit margins are in that 20 to
15%, correct.
Okay. The business owners in this video took very different paths, but they all had one thing in common. They set up their business properly early on. Therefore, if you're not quite sure how to do that, Busy can help. Busy lets you launch your business the simple way, forming your LLC, filing everything with the state, and making sure your business is official right from the start without hidden fees, confusing fine print, or getting lost in the paperwork. They'll even give you a professional business address with digital mail scanning so that you can be organized and legit from day one. And unlike a lot of companies in this space, Busy's pricing is fully transparent. There's no subscriptions quietly renewing year after year. You get clear upfront pricing and you only pay for what you need when you need it. If you're serious about building something real, make sure your business gets off to a clean start. Click the link below to get started the right way with Busy. Gorgeous place. Tell us just in a snippet where we are and why here specifically.
Yeah, this is one of our clients' Airbnb homes. So our specialty is actually Airbnb turnovers.
Gotcha.
And so this is one of the homes that we actually take care of, and it's been a client for a long time.
And how many clients do you have today as we speak? Ooh, I know, throw it out there.
Yeah, it'd be well over 400 clients.
Well, the other question that is next is the importance of picking up every phone call in this business.
Oh yeah.
We want more clients, we want more homes to take care of and clean. How did you build a system around that to make sure that absolutely every phone call from a prospective client is answered?
You know what's funny? For this industry, I always tell people that picking up the phone is a competitive advantage. And I love finding those types of industries where picking up the phone is a competitive advantage. This is definitely one of them. If you try to call the top 10 competitors in your city for cleaning, 7 of them won't even pick up.
Okay.
They won't even pick up. 3 of them might pick up. Shocking, right? If you try any home services, it's very rare to find someone who actually picks up and is really good at sales. So with that in mind, you just got to pick up the phone and you're already ahead of the game, right? So what we do to make sure we always pick up the phone is we use global talent to service this local location. So calls get routed to my team in South Africa, and they are the ones who pick up the call.
And what about time zone? I'm guessing they're answering 24/7.
Yeah, so we always handle things within business hours of the location we're in. So if it's our location, our franchise location, if they're Pacific time or East Coast time, whatever remote team members you hire are going to be for that location. That's one aspect of it, but really, you know, if we don't pick up the calls, I found that our close rate drops significantly. So get this, if we pick up the phone call on the first couple rings, our close rate's around 50 to 60%. If we don't pick up and call them back in a few minutes, the close rate jumps down to 16.5%.
Wow.
So that is massive difference in what your close rates are for phone sales. So we have a system of just not only finding remote team members, but also linking everything together. So let's say we miss a call. Automatically, we use AI technology to text the customer and say, hey, I'm sorry you missed it. And depending on what their answer is, we could provide them guidance on here's how to book online, here's what to do.
How is Airbnb cleaning different from household, commercial offices, etc.?
For sure. So we used to charge very little for it and get a lot of pressure from it. And essentially we try to not take those customers. But I figured, what can I do to solve their problem and at the same time position myself as the guy to go to? So I started actually asking those customers, what is something that you need so to make your life easier? And they're like, oh, if I can get someone to inspect my unit, someone to do the laundry, someone to do the supply, I crunch my numbers, and then instead of offering just cleaning, I offer to them which is like a co-hosting. So most of my customers, they live in either China, Europe. I got a lot of people, on the East Coast.
Wow.
And so we literally, it's a hands-off system for them. We take care of everything from welcoming the host, doing the laundry, supplies, and any problems in between stays.
What would be the average cost? I mean, let's say I have a 1,000 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bath villa on the ocean or something. Like, how do you figure out the price? Where are the margins on Airbnb cleaning versus house cleaning?
That's a good question. So if you offer everything, like I said, not just cleaning, if you offer only cleaning, the margins are very small. So when you make the most money is when you charge a percentage of the management fee. So for example, we charge in between 10 to 20% of the gross of the unit who that generates.
I see.
And then we take care of everything.
Okay, you guys, we're here at this gorgeous building that is currently an Airbnb house. Your crew's here. Chris, why don't you take us inside and kind of explain what they're doing and anything else you want to share with us?
Absolutely, this is going over.
Come on. So how many people usually for this size of a house would be working here?
We send about 3 people per unit because usually we deal with big units like this. It's like 3-4 bedroom with 2-3 bathrooms. So we usually spend about 3 to 4 hours in each home because we literally had to deep clean it top to bottom to make it guest ready again. So we changed the laundry supplies, all the supplies for the bathrooms and also the kitchen supplies. So we take time to do it because we want the customers to get 5-star reviews.
So what would a customer pay for this kind of job?
A job like this, it will run you about 400 to 500 per turnover, but that's included everything. That's laundry, supplies, and cleaning.
And what would you then, I guess, profit or net profit after everything?
You end up with about 20% of that, so it'll be $80 per job, and we do about 18 jobs of this. Something like that. How much really cost me to operate? We pay very good. We pay our cleaners 22, 24 an hour. Antonio actually makes 25 because he's been with us for a long time, and he's really our best employee. But it's an average between 24 to 25. So if we take an hour, sometimes it takes 2 hours, but let's say 1 hour, it's 2 people. So that means it's gonna be $50 cost, right? So that's just on labor. But then as far as supplies, all the cleaning supplies are super affordable. So now you're talking $50 in labor, 30 in supplies. And sometimes here locally, we didn't have to pay parking, but Seattle is very notorious for expensive parking. We pay that out of our pocket, so that's, you're talking $20, maybe 30. So total expense, as far as for me, it's $100 per hour, but we charge about $350 per cleaning for turnover. So that's a great ROI. Obviously, sometimes some units take longer, right? Especially when they throw parties. When that happens, we actually let the owner know, hey, so we have only 2 hours left here, but unfortunately they threw a party and it's gonna take longer than 2 hours, so we have to readjust the rate in order to be fair. And all we need to do is just let them know, and they're okay with it because we still need to clean the unit before the other guest comes in. Our average ticket price for Airbnbs is always on the low end. The minimum we charge is $250. That is the smallest amount, the smallest unit, and that's the lowest we charge. Someone hosts, they say, well, I only pay $100 per cleaning and whatnot. So unfortunately, that doesn't work for us. We really strive for giving you quality, and giving you quality takes time. To give you guys an idea, $250, that's our lowest ticket, and for this unit is $350, actually $380. So when you do this over and over, sometimes with these units, especially in summer, which is the high season, we're doing every day. So it's back to back to back to back. So it's certainly a huge ROI compared to a normal occupied home, because, you know, an occupied home, we just clean it maybe once a month, maybe twice a month, if that. This one, sometimes 4 times a week, 5. So it's certainly way more money that is to be made in this industry.
So we were at your customer's house, beautiful, in terms of the clientele and the homes that you take care of. We went to your home office as well, where all the magic happens, as we talked about. Tell our audience where we are today, because we're on the 33rd floor, downtown LA.
Downtown Los Angeles, skyline, beautiful view in the background. This is a common co-working space I work from. So the business I'm in is fully location independent. That was the goal when I started it. And a lot of that means I could kind of work wherever I want. I do love working at home, but sometimes a change of pace is pretty sweet. And this is a normal office that I work from as well.
Let's dive back into the interview, and the question that I have in my mind is how you took a local service-based business and share with our audience as much as you can on how that transition happened and so forth.
Absolutely. I mean, when you think of a local business, you normally don't think, oh, let me go and make that remote, right? That's not what you want to do. And especially cleaning, that's the most old school industry. The cool part about the model is if you figure out the right remote local method, which is what I'll talk about, you could turn any specific local business fully remote. And you know, when I first started, I mentioned that I wanted to pick a business that suited my lifestyle, right? That's kind of reversing the formula of starting with what is your ideal lifestyle like, finding business models which suit it. And I wanted to be fully location independent. That was a big thing for me. And I tried a lot of these industries which are like remote, and everything flopped. And what was kind of working was this cleaning business I just happened to start on the side. And when I decided to really look at it, I realized, most of the pieces in this, I'm already kind of doing remotely because I was working at a corporate job. All the calls were routed to my phone. The cleaner was to go straight from their home to the job site. There's just a few key pieces I need to switch up to actually make it fully remote, which was totally doable with how fast technology has moved. And this is 10 years ago. Now it's even easier to do this.
Yeah.
I will tell you there's probably 3 main characteristics involved, because not every single local business can be fully remote.
So this is the clean laundry. This is gonna be the kitchen, and it's gonna be the bathroom. So I'm just gonna drop this one right here. Here I have a team of 2 girls, so that's Lupita and Osiris. Usually that's how it works. So we have one cleaner doing the kitchen. They already finished the bathroom. As you can tell, it's as wide as you can get. Everything, every cranny needs to be super clean. This one, super clean, nice and shiny. Here's the shower. It has to be perfect. So it's very important that you guys clean top to bottom. They also check this, right? Nothing. Same thing here. Nothing. We have to clean inside the washer, inside the dryer. Clean the filters. Has to be completely clean, like it's brand new. Very important. Really take the time to actually do it right. We don't want the guests to get bad reviews, and we don't want to come back and clean for free. What they're doing right now is clean the kitchen. Sometimes there's stuff in the refrigerator. We need to get rid of that. And let's take a look, see if there's any food left over in the fridge. Like here, perfect example. Okay, there's some keto bread. I don't like it. Some bagels. Provolone cheese. More cheese. Yogurts. You know, provolone. I get asked, like, do you really get rid of all this food even though it's clean? We have to. I mean, it's like the next guest obviously doesn't want to have that in the unit, and we don't really know who was here, so we just dispose of it. Unless it's sealed, you know, the girls can take it, you know, and like I said, get tequila, some fancy liquor, I'll take that home. Why not?
That's the spirit.
Also, one of the things that I need to do at the beginning is check for any damages, right? Sometimes the previous guest, sometimes they break stuff. And so before we even start cleaning, we need to take pictures, document it, and then send it over to the guest to say, hey, the TV is broken, or the remote, they took the remote, so there's no remote for the TV. Things like that. Once that we check that, and we're good to go, all we need to do is clean after, take pictures, and then into the next one.
Let's talk about boots on the ground marketing, right? As opposed to digital. Have you been doing that? Are you still doing that? And the pros and cons of that, and cost and so forth?
My philosophy when starting the business was I want it to be fully remote. A lot of that makes digital marketing the go-to avenue. The reality, though, is that you need to combine digital marketing along with what I call boots on the ground or offline marketing. It really is a combination. If you're relying just on one, that's the easy recipe for disaster. So we don't do door-to-door knocking. We don't do things where like me, the owner, has to break my back and go in and do it, but we do things through automation, which allow for offline stuff. So for example, we do flyering of certain neighborhoods. Like once a home is cleaned, we probably have a good sense that that neighborhood's a great place to flyer, right? Because we've already had a client there to get demographic. So we can automatically flyer the neighbors around that house.
That's the 5-step that you mentioned earlier, right?
Yeah, the 5 rounds.
5 rounds, yeah.
5 rounds for the neighbors and put them on an ongoing sequence. A lot of the things we're doing are for reoccurring customers. Now remember, there's initial sales, there's customers who are recurring customers, and reoccurring. Reoccurring means the customer is booked with us who wants to book again. Now, how do I make sure they book again? I have to surprise and delight the customer. So we have ways online of doing one-click sending of brownies to these customers, handwritten postcards.
That's the boots on the ground.
This would be boots on the ground, trying to get more and more business and build a great system for them. The thing is, I think a lot of people try to find what's the one best tactic. Honestly, all of them can work as long as you know how to track it and as long as you have a good idea of where to go.
Track and go from there.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to have you show us more details on that, because I think you mentioned there's some on the computer system that you want us to view and take a look at.
Yeah, all the automations and funnels. It's gonna be awesome.
Keep watching. We'll show you guys those details. On the sales and revenue side, Austin, let's talk a little bit about what contributed to that growth, that sustained, continued growth. We need the concrete, technical stuff.
A factor of things. So initially we saw that decline. So what we did is we invested some of our money into website development, ad spend, and then optimizing our pages on Google, Facebook, Yelp, Instagram, etc. And with that, people kind of trusted our image more. Less searching. I think our time spent on pages went up like 30 or 40 seconds. And in turn, we saw a higher booking volume by hundreds, literally hundreds of bookings per month.
But how much more did you start spending?
Our ad spend results.
Yeah.
I think we only increased it by like $1,800 on Yelp alone.
You did? Okay.
The statistics behind the $1,800 spent on the ad spend and the actual the ad click through to our website was insane.
So you just improved everything online. And boosted your market.
Yeah, I mean, we utilized our platforms that you're given. You're given your Google page, you're given your Yelp page. Just optimized how we use them and how we structure our ads.
Okay, and we'll dive into the details, you guys, about the specifics of what he's talking about later on in the video. Let's talk about how your customers today find you. Yeah. What platforms are successful for you? What are you guys spending? And anything else you can share on that?
Yeah, for sure. So we only use 3 channels of marketing.
Okay.
So our main one is Google Ads, specifically Google Local Leads. So very important for home services. It's a new platform that Google came up with, and you get charged by call. But the cool thing about this platform is that these customers are ready to buy. The second platform, it will be Facebook, and the third one will be Yelp.
Yelp, okay.
So we're spending about $4,000 in Google Ads, about $750 in Yelp, and $1,000 in Facebook.
Got it. What's bringing in most? Is it Google?
Google, for sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, don't say much because we got that hack coming up.
Oh yes, for sure. I have a hack for you guys. You're gonna love it. Everybody who has a home service business, this is the key to grow your business to the next level.
By how much did you improve or increase your marketing spend on Yelp and a few other platforms?
We doubled it.
So you doubled it, wow.
We doubled it, and I actually have we actually have a dedicated person here that sifts through interviews or sifts through hires, posts job postings, reviews interviews, puts them through the onboarding process, and then we have cleaners dedicated to training. So the pandemic has restructured how we onboard people, and it's like an assembly line. You start there, you get there, you're done in a week. You're cleaning by yourself in a week. And we've, I think, added 20 cleaners in the last 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, just go full force and put together, whether it be just you and your 2-man team working longer days. And I say that because you're gonna have to, but anyone that's watching this video already knows what's required to succeed. And then they're willing to put the work in as it is. But just put more plans together and don't take no for an answer.
How much are you spending on marketing in general right now? And what are you seeing as far as ROI? New customer acquisition based on online marketing as opposed to this marketing?
The concept I'm kind of talk about is called capturing demand versus creating demand.
Never heard that before.
Yeah,
right.
Capturing demand would be like people online who are already searching for, let's say, a cleaning service, right?
I see that.
Where are they going? Google, Yelp, Thumbtack. That's the easiest leads to get. right? Because they're already searching. You just got to get in front of them. Next is creating demand. That's kind of what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Where people might not think they need a service, but then they get something to know. They're like, you know what, maybe I do need a cleaning. The cool part about that is that you're hitting them one-to-one. There's no other competitor, right? Because they think I need a cleaning. Oh, these guys send me a postcard. I'm going to go with them. So the goal is to combine them both, and they both have hugely different return on investments. The amount we're spending at scale, since we're a little bit more mature, is about 5% of revenue.
And that's for your LA location. All right,
LA location.
Let's specifically focus on that.
Typically, when someone starts a business in their earlier stages, I recommend them starting higher, 15 to 20% of the revenue on just marketing. Here's the reason. This business is a recurring revenue business. If you get business that first year, it stays the second year and third year, as long as you keep them happy.
Yeah.
Right? So overspend that first year to scale up your marketing, and then you can level it down over time.
What's giving you the best return in terms of building your client base? And what's your spend monthly on, marketing in general?
So I hate to keep on going back to Yelp, but Yelp is our single-handed driving force for customer acquisition. And right now, it's for every 1,000 we spend, we incur $35,000. But that's just because of our placement. So for example, we only spend $2,900 a month on ad spend, and we make $110,000 to $115,000. And that's our only ad channel.
Yelp.
We don't use anything else. Just Yelp.
Print advertising?
None.
Putting postcards on doors?
Nope. Just Yelp.
With all that we've talked about.
And that's why we're doing that course. Is
Right.
Because it works. You just need to figure out how to use it. That's all.
That's incredible. Don't you think it'll be saturated, or too many people on one platform will eat up the business?
No, because there's so many different service industries. Cleaning is one of 25 to 30. They can still apply the same rules for their market. Everyone has a need. Everybody has a need to get their power back on. Everyone needs to get their carpet shampooed.
Right.
Every business needs to use that same platform. Just figure out how to use it.
What are you doing that's working on Craigslist?
So,
Specifically, technical stuff.
well, I disclose my prices right there on the price, on the ad.
That's different from others?
Yes, everybody, if you go to Craigslist, you can see other people say, hey, we clean houses, we do this, we do that. If you want to see my ads, it will say, the prices are this, and it starts from this. What that does, it filters everyone who's not, ready to pay for my prices, and whoever calls, they already saw the prices, so most likely to buy from me.
Nice. That's a good trip, you guys.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, we mentioned a hack earlier in the video that Austin's going to share with you. So Austin, what would that hack be?
If you have a Google or Yelp page, you have to upload photos to show your work. If you aren't showcasing your work right now, you're obviously doing something wrong, and start doing that now. I recommend 4 to 5 photos a week. And when you're using your captions, Yelp let me know that Google and Yelp use captions as a local SEO generator. So when you're putting words or writing captions in your photos, you make sure you're using keyword terms that relate to your industry. We put deep clean or deep house cleaning in all of our photos because that ranks us higher on Google and Yelp as basically a passive SEO generator. So Yelp allows you to add a page deal. And how their formula works in their algorithm is they see that user purchase that deal, and then when they leave you a review, it sticks because the system recognizes they actually went to your page. It recognizes they left a review. They put the two together that they use your service. They don't have to do any guess and check. And that has been confirmed by Yelp Corporate. So it does work.
And I know there's more, but you guys just take those two, execute on them, and your business will grow. You agree?
Basically.
What systems and SOPs do you have in place to continue growing? I mean, I can imagine there's a lot. So what are you, software, scheduling?
There's quite a bit of softwares, right? You have to have a scheduling software, a phone system, internal communication system, ticket system for your customers so nothing gets missed through the cracks. There's a lot of softwares that you need to put in place in order to run this whole machine.
Which one or two can you mention name?
Great question. Most of my business, I run it from my phone using an app called Slack.
Okay.
So inside of Slack, it's an internal communication platform where I have channels just for about every scenario. Cancellations, new charges, everything. So
you got Slack. What else is on?
I have Ring Central. So that's just for having the virtual assistants answering the phone in the Philippines. And ultimately I have Jobber, which is what I have for my all my jobs, creating the invoices, keeping all organized and my routes.
Would you guys like to have your own 7-figure cleaning business like Chris? Well, UpFlip and Chris partnered up and developed a complete blueprint that you can use to start your own 7-figure cleaning business.
Paul, this blueprint reveals critical information that I've learned over the years through my mistakes and failures. It covers things like how to dominate your area using Google Ads and SEO, how to find Airbnb customers that pay you good money for your services, how you can outsource your customer service department to other countries so you can scale your company even faster. It also teaches you how to hire and train your cleaners so they become efficient. And also it comes with all the manuals, templates, and instructions on how to run your business smoothly. It really is a step-by-step framework in how to start, grow, and explode your cleaning company to 7 figures, Paul.
Guys, you know that everything we do is top-notch, and this course is no different. It's like buying a franchise. It has everything you need. It covers all aspects of starting, growing, and scaling a successful cleaning business, and on top of that, you get Chris's support. So don't delay. The price will go up. Click the link in the description below. Right, Chris?
That's right.
Show us what's going on the computer side of things, digital marketing. I know we talked about how important it is for clients to just experience the convenience side of things. And I know there's some things we need to look at and see in person. So take it away.
Absolutely. So if you look over here, this is our online booking form. And it's a gamified booking form that make you click through. And this just helps people with conversions and getting people online to book easily without even calling in. So once someone books, we could drop them into a lot of different automated funnels. So if you ask me the secret for marketing, the secret's not really where to find the leads, it's how do you follow up with the customers once you actually get the leads in. That's the key. All right, that's the secret sauce here. So what we have is a dashboard where, let's say, anyone online who books or doesn't book gets dropped into this dashboard, but we could constantly follow up with them and work the leads. So you'll look at it, you'll see some opportunities here. These are all people who are in an automatic quote follow-up sequence.
That haven't signed up for service.
That haven't signed up yet. So we're hitting them with multiple emails, automated text messages, phone calls from our team. And you can see everything through the dashboard over here that we use to follow up with them. You asked before about how to get reviews, right? So here's an automated system where we could just send review requests and track reviews here, comment on them, and just lets us get higher volume of reviews as well.
Let's say you have a system in place, the business continues growing, and at some point you realize, okay, this system's no longer the next step to continue scaling. What things do you look for as a business when you know it's time to, okay, we need to implement a new system?
Well, that's a great question. Let's say, for example, the calling feature, right? When I started, I was using Google Voice, and it worked great. But then I started realizing there was a lot of missed calls. I'm like, what's happening? And it's like, oh, because we're already on a call, there's no way for me to forward to another caller. So it's like, well, calls, I don't want any missed calls, right? A call could be potentially worth thousands of dollars.
Right.
So I decided to implement a different system that is more robust, allow us to take on more calls. There's a call waiting feature for us. So it really, it's just a better system. So it really comes down when you listen to your employees. That's one of the things. I actually learned this from a book from Paul Akers, Lean, and it's all about cutting waste. And so the way I do it, because I cannot test everything, I ask my employees, they're the field workers, tell me what can I do, what can we improve? Same with my customer service, I talk to my VA, say, hey, tell me what can I do, what softwares do we need to make your life easier? When you're about to test a new system, don't cancel the other one. Just try it for a month and see if it's actually going to be a good fit. Most offers give you a 14-day trial. Really, you do almost everything. So you can use those 14 days, try it, see if you like it.
Transitional period.
And if you like it, then you make the move.
But what platform are you using and how are you getting that list of 1,500 people?
Well, it's very important. This is another tip, guys, that it's phenomenal, and many people don't do that. You have to have a CRM, meaning a customer relationship manager software, where you keep all your customers and all your leads that have contacted you throughout the year. Doesn't matter if they didn't become your customers, you still keep their information, because when you have these slow months, you use this when you do the text marketing or email marketing in any case, right? But text marketing is the way to go, guys. At 90% open rate, that's what I've seen on my...
90%, wow.
So it's pretty good.
What platform are you using for CRM? And then is it different for text to send out that text, or is it all through the CRM?
All through the CRM. So I use a software, it's called Go High Level. Pretty simple platform. All I do is download the list of customers, and I segment. And for example, I have the existing customers who don't need my services, because they already use my services, right? I segment the ones that canceled, or the ones who contacted me, or there was just leads, and then I send a text blast to all of them. And I promise you guys, if you work your database, it's a gold mine there. You know, there's a lot of people who don't know that, but if you shake the tree, like I like to say, you shake that tree, you'll get some fruit every time.
Let's talk about engaging our customers, right? A lot of businesses use mailing lists, and if there is a prospect incoming, they capture the email, they get 10,000 emails on their mailing list, and then they use that to grow their business, share value.
Absolutely.
Do you do that? If so, what other alternative tools or means do you? Why is that important? Let's elaborate on that.
Yeah, and I think capturing leads is incredibly important, right? You're not going to close every single sale, and even if you do, these are customers in the future who could be customers again.
Right.
So capturing the email address and phone number is key, but what's even more key is the follow-up sequence after that. So with that, let's say we capture a lead that comes in, and maybe we actually have the home cleaned because we converted that sale. How do we get more business from that sale in an automatic way? So the first thing we do is we make sure that customer's happy, right? We mail them a automatic postcard, which is, it looks like it's handwritten, but just automated. And we also make sure we flyer the neighbors next door. Automatically, we call it 5 rounds. And we just say, hey, we just cleaned your neighbor's place. Do you want a job as well? Or do you want to clean a job as well?
5 rounds. Why is that called 5 rounds?
Because we just hit the 5 houses, close
Just five. Got it.
Just 5. And if you think about it, this home is probably our ideal target market. It goes to stand that probably the homes around are going to be a target demographic as well. So why not get in front of them? So we try to stay in front of the customers at least 2 to 4 times per month. So we send messages to the customers via email, and we actually put them on a drip campaign. So this part's key.
Yes.
It is a 1-month reminder email and a call. And we could do ringless voicemails, automated text, or actual calls from the sales team in South Africa to say, hey, you haven't had your place cleaned in a month. It's probably dirty. Why don't we come out again? But we also put them on a 3-month, 6-month, 9-month, 12-month reminders, and this goes for 2 years. So they get the newsletters, they get our automatic mailings and phone calls, you're gonna get postcards in the mail. The goal is just to stay in front of them, right? Yeah. So when the home's dirty again and someone's wife's getting mad at them, they could say, oh my God, MaidThis, they've been emailing me, let me call them. So try to make the content more light, don't be a stiff company. But besides that, it's more just staying in front of the customers consistently. And I think a lot of business owners mess up on this. They get the sale once, they don't really do that good of a job of staying in front of the client. And just based off the system we have, we do it automatically for us and for the franchisees as well.
How seasonal is it? Are you consistent throughout the year? And if you do have slow seasons, Chris, what do you do to shift during that slow period to still continue to be profitable and make it?
Yeah, so we do have a slow season, which is the winter time, the winter months. So
Winter months, okay.
Yeah, December, January, February usually slow. So what I do to help during those times, I use a lot of text marketing. It's been 3 years since I discovered it. Instead of using email marketing, text marketing. People respond to text. So what I do, I offer, crazy deals. So, get $50 off today, and I send that text to, 1,500 people. At least 10% will reply to you and say, yes, I want a service. So what I'm trying to do during those times is just keep my employees busy so they make money. And, I take a little bit of a hit on discount my prices, but at the same time, I'm taking care of my employees. So when the good season comes around, they're ready there for me.
Are you implementing any strategies for lead generation? Besides the Google and the Yelp, are you actually doing outside of that something else to just bring more business?
Absolutely. So the way we do it, I have my VAs scrape data from Zillow. I tell my VAs, okay, go to Snohomish County, scrape all the results that you see for realtors in this area, come up with a list, and then we call them. You set up an appointment, and then that's what I go. So definitely that's what we do for lead generation.
So your VAs do, on Zillow, they do look for Airbnbs as well? Or?
No, not Airbnbs, just property manager, realtors, real estate agents, all that, and then we come up with a spreadsheet, and then literally call and call email, and so that's what we do.
What percentage of new business coming in is coming in from that strategy?
So it's not that crazy, but we get about if we contact 100 realtors, at least 10 or 12 are going to say yes. So it's not bad. It's not that crazy, but it certainly helps. And then what I like about working with realtors is that these homes are empty. They're just staged, so there's no grease, there's no the bathrooms are fairly clean.
Yeah.
So the job is fairly simpler versus an habitated home.
Talk to us about the workflow with Queen Bee. You get a job request, the scheduling, the phone calls, the setup. How does that work? Just really quickly fly through that.
Yeah, so usually it works like this. We get a call, we provide a quote over the phone, and once that the customer agrees to the price, we collect the credit card. You always want to collect the credit card, you don't want to chase your money. You know, with that, we put them into a calendar or a scheduler. So we look at the calendar based on zip codes, right? So that way, the VAs, when we get a call, it's okay to look at the zip code, look at the calendar and see what spot is available with that route, and then we assign it. At that point, the cleaners get a notification on their phone, like, there you have a new job, this is the address, and then they can accept it, or they can reject it in case they can't do it, right? So essentially that's what happens. Let's say they accept the job. What happens now, it's they go and clean, and to make sure that every time everything gets done correctly, so there's nothing missed, we have an app. Well, in the same app actually has a checklist. So
Use that.
we use a checklist because, you know, we used to do paper checklist, but what happened, you know, the cleaners, they will just check, and then they'll leave it, and then customers will call like, well, they forgot this, and so we figure, okay, let's figure out there's an app that allows us to do that, and there is, and so Java is. So you put a checklist, and they cannot complete the job if they don't complete the checklist. So they really have to take their time to go into each room, make sure everything is checked off, and then they click complete. At that point, when they click complete, we get a notification. The customer service department runs the cart, and then we send them the review request. And then the following day, that's when we call them and say, hey, just want to make sure that everything went fine. Would you be interested in signing up for recurring service? So in a nutshell, that's pretty much the workflow, how it works.
Earlier on, you mentioned just briefly a secret strategy to sales, right, essentially. I'm dying to know what that is. Let's dive into that.
Yeah, well, you know, I mentioned earlier that as long as you pick up the phone, it's a competitive advantage.
So it ties into that?
Absolutely. And once they pick up the phone, the question is, how do you get them to not only close the sale, but convert to a recurring customer? So we have a system we've developed and battle tested. I think we made millions of dollars with this exact sales script with us and our franchisees. We have training programs around it for our franchisees, and it's something that we teach everyone because it just works.
I'll be the customer.
You want to do role play?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Let's do that.
I'm calling, I'm looking for a cleaning business.
Hey, this is Neil from MaidThis Cleaning. How can I help you?
Hey, Neil, moved to LA, hate cleaning, and you were top choice on some of the platforms I noticed you on. So I just wanted to see kind of about your service and so on, see if we could help.
Absolutely. And by the way, I'm going to pause the different sections just to explain to you the keynotes. The script is very long, but there's some key psychological elements that you should have in this.
All right.
So first, I want to build rapport. That's the first thing I want to do. There's a million other companies out there you could call, but why are you going to work with me? Probably because you like me on the phone. Right, so I'm gonna say, perfect, hey, thanks so much for reaching out. First of all, what's your name?
My name's Paul.
Paul, nice to meet you, man. My name is Neil. And welcome to Los Angeles.
Thank you. We were dying to move here.
Yeah. So Paul, tell me, what is it you're looking for in your home to get cleaned?
It's a 1,500, 3-bed, 2-bath. Our yard is pretty small anyway. You're not cleaning the yard, the house specifically. And, you know, I just want to focus on the kitchen, the laundry rooms, the bathrooms, essentially.
Okay.
Everything else is not a big deal for us. I do have 3 daughters.
So to clarify, you're moving in, you want to get the place very clean. I'm guessing it's probably dusty because you've just moved in. You want to get that knocked out. The main points of the home, kitchen, bathrooms, you mentioned, these are the main focus areas. That will make you happy. Perfect. So one thing I did over here is I clarified what you actually wanted to do.
So now I know you're hearing.
I'm hearing you, but also a lot of times the customers like to call and they like to be the one saying, I want to pay this amount of money, this is what I want done. Here's the thing, most customers don't actually know what they want. They don't know the business as much as you. So now I'm kind of taking control of the conversation, asking you the questions I need to know to be able to price the services on my end. Make sense?
Yeah.
Let's say, great, amazing. And I think I got all the notes over here.
Yeah.
Hey, tell me, are you looking for a monthly, weekly, or bi-weekly service?
Probably monthly.
Monthly?
Yeah.
Awesome. And here's a tip which has made us millions of dollars. You notice that I did not ask if you want a one-time service.
Oh, you're right. I didn't even realize that.
Psychological trick, monthly, bi-weekly, weekly. And you're like, oh, I guess I want monthly. I didn't give you the option for one time.
I heard the options and I answered with what was available.
This is how we get people on the recurring plan to begin with. Then with our follow-up sequence, we make sure they stay happy. And there's a lot of things we do for that. But on the initial sell, this is what we do.
Okay.
And look, I'll throw out a price for you. I'll say, great, do you want monthly service? Great. Yeah, your first cleaning, which is going to be deep clean, is going to be around $280 for the first time cleaning.
I don't know, man. I've looked around on Google and all that, and that seems a little on the steeper side for me, Neil.
Okay.
Even though I like what you're saying, I like the options you're giving me, can you do anything on the price point?
Yeah, so this is... Gotta ask. The worst case, it's a no. So in this case, I want to show you the value we have. I don't want it to be an apples to apples comparison where you're looking at us and a bunch of other companies, right? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, hey, Paul, you're totally right. You could probably go to another company and have it way cheaper, but there's some risk in that. What you're really paying for with us is peace of mind. You notice our reviews. We're really good at what we do. On top of that, you get our guarantees. Our guarantees are that if there's anything missed, we'll have someone come out for a free 2-hour reclean for you. On top of that, only 2% of the cleaners in our system who apply actually make it onto our system. So you're getting the best cleaners in the market, background checked and everything.
Sounds like it.
On top of that, Paul, I know you just moved here and I want to make sure this is affordable for you. I want you to try us out, see how you like it. If you like it, continue. If not, it's okay.
Scripts do work.
Scripts work. And with that script, you could close a lot more sales, convert them to recurring and just have a booming business.
Cool. People watching right now realize how difficult it is and challenging, especially in these times, to find reliable employees, right?
That's right.
So how do you, where do you look for them? How do you find employees, whether they stay or not? And then how do you take care of them to keep them as much as possible?
Back in the day, I was only relying on Indeed. So I was running ads on Indeed, attracting some people. And I still do, but now I combine other 2 platforms because really I cannot grow if I cannot find people. So I'm spending ads on Indeed. So that's number 1. Craigslist ads, that's number 2. And then Facebook group, guys. Facebook groups, it's been actually great.
Performer?
I actually, I think we got 2 of our best cleaners came from a Facebook group. So it's totally free. So definitely just combining these 3 platforms and just constantly be recruiting. So again, one of the things that I've been able to do and keep my current employees, with us, is just, creating that company culture that I mentioned on the previous video. It's just really, celebrating their birthdays, taking them to, family gatherings every now and then.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think it's one of the best things I've done. Really make everyone part of the family, like align them with the same goal that we had. So we all embrace it and we move forward with it.
Let's talk about hiring employees, especially through the pandemic. People don't want to work necessarily.
Right.
It's tough to get them back in, retention, etc. How do you find these people? Which platforms you use? And the process of vetting them, knowing that they're going to be a good employee?
This is a tricky question. And I think whoever's probably going to watch this is having the same problem we have.
Right.
You're going to spend money. Again, you're going to spend more money. You're going to have people say they're interested and just not show up. We had 2 people actually not show up today for interviews. So it's a numbers game. You're going to have to just do sheer volume. So you're going to reach out to 100 people. Instead of usually getting 20 or 25 interested candidates, it'd probably be 8. So just expect that low return, but just don't give up on it. I would advise to pick 1 or 2 platforms and stick to those when it comes to job hiring. Don't go through several others. Do not do Indeed.
Okay.
Don't do Indeed, guys. It's a waste of your money.
How come?
They're the most expensive. And the return, we've done a study. I think we spent $2,000 and we got 8 applicants.
Okay.
8 to 10. It was barely over double digits. And using ZipRecruiter, and I'm not endorsing ZipRecruiter, this is not an ad.
Just experience.
Just experience, you'll get the best return for your money. So the money spent returns way more qualified candidates, and that's what we're using right now. We don't shut down our ads. They're always running right now. So if you're willing to work, we will hire you. We need to work.
It's like a constant waterfall, right? You never shut that off?
Yeah, we call it the trolling net. So that net's always trolling the sea.
That's a good way,
yeah, so it's always running. So if you're willing to work, we'll hire you at any given day.
I want to help our viewers understand more specific steps of the onboarding process.
Absolutely.
Give us an insight.
So when you're recruiting, and this is whether you're recruiting technicians in your company, which could be cleaners or other laborers or remote team members, the key with this is to get them to jump through multiple hoops before they reach you in your next stage. So I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Let's say we're recruiting for cleaners, and we have an elaborate 5-step recruiting process for this to make sure they get through the funnel. Some pieces of it would be, let's say you do an initial call. You're gonna do phone screenings with them, make sure they're validated in what they're doing. Do you have a license? Are you legal to work here?
Yeah.
After that, we invite them to a Zoom call. You notice I don't do it on the same call. I want to see if they actually show up. And the main thing is I'm looking for 3 main characteristics when it comes to a team member. I'm looking for good reliability, communication, and attitude. You have to have all 3 of them or this is not going to work. So a lot of the steps of what we teach and what we do with this funnel is to check a lot of those 3 factors. So
the RCAs.
Exactly.
I just came up with an acronym.
So we screen them on that second call. We might send them out to a test job, a paid test job to see how they perform, check their communication. After that, we could do a proper onboarding with our technology and let them know how actually things work, and then monitor how they do. And there's a lot of different steps in that.
Yeah.
And we have an automated process through a Trello dashboard we created, which guides people on what questions to ask, how to qualify them, what their score is. And like, honestly, this is the biggest trick in this business. If you know how to find
Biggest trick, keyword.
biggest trick,
Yeah. I said
if you know how to find the right labor, your business is smooth. And a lot of people, when they started, like myself, I didn't know what I was doing at all. And we would just onboard whoever came in and who applied and who had a pulse. I'd say, yeah, come aboard. And that's how you get into trouble in this business. And that's what a lot of novices don't really know is this is a people business. You got to invest a lot into the people.
Today, how many employees do you have? What do you pay them, and how do you retain them to stay with you? And
Yes, good question. So as of now, we have 22 cleaners. They all range from $19 per hour. You know, the people who doesn't drive.
Okay.
The drivers get 20 to 22. If they drive my car, it's $20. If they drive their car, it's 24. So you know, it really works out well. Sometimes they want to use their car and they make a little bit extra money. That's fine by me. So
do you offer like any incentives, any creative ways of?
yes, this is something very important. You know, last few years I didn't have what is called. I was not paying attention in creating a company culture. Now, you know, it's very important to keep your employees, feel appreciated. So what I've been doing, you know, since pre-COVID, you know, taking them to picnics, you know, carne asadas. Of course, every Saturday, you know, we take them to a bowling game every 3 months or so. And, you know, we celebrate their birthdays every time. You know, I have a software that tells me, okay, this cleaner's birthday is tomorrow. We get them a cake. We celebrate real quick in the morning, and we'll go to go. And that, my friends, is being the key for me to keep the employees longer.
What about retention? How do you?
On people, on hires?
Yeah. How do you reduce your turnover?
So you should need to work for your employee, and that is an owner's job. I'm her employee. She's my boss. My secretary is my boss. If she's not happy, my company does not run. We do not profit. So how I look at working for all 40 of the people here at Spruse, it is my job to make you happy, not the other way around. So I tell every new interview or new hire, hey, if you ever have a problem or you're not happy here, I need you to let me know because I need to fix it for you. So I think I like that. I don't want to say business owners are lazy, but they need to put more effort towards making sure everyone's, so listen to their voice, like their concerns. You know, they're going to voice them to you, but are you going to actually fix them? Or are you just asking to be nice? I make it a daily effort to make sure everyone's happy. And then pay. Add frequent pay incentives.
Tell me about yours.
Well, we already started high in the country. So we start at 22 an hour still. And that's the highest in the country in our industry by $7.
Wow.
If you prove yourself in the first month, you're jumped up to 23. If you start training, up to 24. And I think there's only one cleaner that's at 25 right now. But for cleaning houses, that's still...
Yeah, it's not your...
It's marginally higher, and it shows, okay, I voice this to all our cleaners is, hey, I get the job. I've done it for years. I want to make sure you're getting compensated fairly for some of the work. You got to clean toilets sometimes. Toilets are not pretty. I get it. So I think owners need to understand what the job is being asked, and does it fairly reflect the value they're getting paid for. If you figure that out, make sure they're being happy, or they're happy, they're not leaving.
You have staff across 8 countries at this point in time. What are the challenges that come with that, and what do you use to make things work like clockwork, essentially?
So when I first started out, again, I didn't really know what I was doing. So with a lot of the staff, I'd onboard them and not have a great onboarding process for them. A lot of things we use now are just the technology to be able to communicate with people around the world. So for example, let's say someone calls in. We use a service called Dialpad, which will route that person to my team in South Africa. We use Slack for our internal communication tool. So a lot of different technologies exist now, which didn't 10 years ago when I started. That makes life a lot easier for everyone. The hard part though, honestly, is not really just figuring out the technology to use, it's the back end stuff. Like, what are the processes and systems to get team members to talk to each other? How do you have communication be seamless across different people who are in different countries? And a lot of that kind of stuff is just developing the right documentation, the right systems, the right onboarding. And that's what takes more time rather than just figuring out the technology.
In terms of managing a team, Chris, what tasks are good to delegate to staff? And then which ones do you handle personally yourself?
So from now, I try to delegate as much as possible, really. From the customer service, that's the first thing I delegated. My wife's now, finally out of the field and delegating all the job to the girls. So really to delegate as many things as possible so you can really focus on the money-making activities. Which in my case, I'm always looking for contracts, right? I'm visiting apartment managers or property managers, visiting realtors, putting myself out there. You cannot just be waiting for people to call you.
Yeah.
If you combine that versus actually going out and, going and say, hey, my name is Chris, I run this company, blah, blah, blah. They always give you an opportunity. So that's what I do. I just look for more contracts.
We in real estate, we call you the rainmaker, right? You're there.
There you go.
Closing more clients.
Outside. That's correct.
What do customers look for typically out of a cleaning company?
I think this is actually very important to mention. They're not really looking for the cheapest price.
They're not looking for the cheapest price?
Some do, right? But people that really have, homes, they actually live there, they were looking for quality. Essentially you're not selling them a cleaning, you're giving them their time back. Because essentially they're not going to spend 3 to 4 hours. We're going to do it for you so you can do other things. So it's all about the quality. And then just make them feel that when they're finished. I love when they get this text like, you guys did amazing, my house never looked this clean before. So it's a really good feeling to have that, right? And just give them time back.
So customer reviews, absolutely freaking important, right?
100%.
Whether you're a real estate agent like me, whether you're doing Airbnbs and residential cleaning, the question is, how do we get them and get the positive ones?
Absolutely. So I'd say there's an automated piece and then there's an unautomated piece. There's an element of it.
Two of them. Cool.
So there is an automated review system. So after each cleaning, the customer would automatically get a text message. And in that would say, hey, how was your experience? Here's a happy face or sad face. They click it, it'll automatically go to the next page where it says, tell us more about it. And if it's a good review or not, it'll go onto Google, Facebook, or let's say Yelp with one click.
How long is the process for me as a customer to go through that process and get to the review point?
10 seconds.
So super quick.
We're trying to make this as seamless as possible. Now here's a trick which is huge, I think, in getting reviews, which most people don't even think about. If me as the company calls a customer and I've never been to the customer's house, the person's like, cool, you're calling from MaidThis. That's great, thank you, you guys did a great service. They don't know me, they don't know my face. But who do they know?
The cleaner.
The cleaner. So here's the trick, you're trying to make this as personal as possible. If the cleaner asks for a review, the customer is way more likely to actually leave a review.
To the company, quote unquote.
Absolutely, and here's the other tricks is you could attach bonuses to it if you want. You could attach incentives to it if you want, and that's the easiest way to skyrocket the number of reviews you have.
Tell me more about bonuses and incentives. What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Yeah, a lot of our locations might offer the cleaner, let's say $25 if someone leaves an online review. And it doesn't have to be a 5-star review. It could be, hey, just get someone to leave a good review for you in whatever way it is, and we'll give you a bonus for it. Now, for the technicians or the cleaners, that's great for them. They just say, hey, I just need to ask this person for a review. On top of that, the company will automatically text the customer to make it easy for them to leave a review. It's really a win-win for everyone.
We've interviewed other companies as well. Reviews are very important.
They are.
Right?
They are.
How do you get them and how do you deal with negative ones? Talk to us about the process, first of all, getting reviews.
Well, this is something key. I started doing it last 2 years when I hired more people to help me on the administration side of it. So what we do, we call the customer the following day just to make sure that he was happy with the service, to do any problems. And then at that point, we kindly ask in a subtle way if we can give us some feedback, whether it's good or bad. It helps us to improve our company. How do you deal with bad reviews? Very, very, very good question. Sometimes there's people you cannot make happy no matter what you do. You can bend over backwards. And at that point, the best thing you can do is just respond professionally and ask them if there's something else you can do for them.
So you respond to each comment online.
It's very important. People see that. It's being one of my keys to being such a fast growth, because we have a good reputation online and we try to protect it.
All right, tell me about this huge, it says franchise operations manual.
You want to lift it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I could probably work out with it. What do they call them? Russian twists, Ukrainian twists, whatever you want to call them. Did you write this whole thing, or a little bit of rip off and duplicate? would expect
A
that.
little bit of duplicate, but a lot of this is just like the hundreds of thousands of dollars of mistakes I made early in my career, and we fixed it, systemized it, and put it in this operations manual for everyone.
Okay.
So this is 1,000+ pages here. Get this is not even as long as it would be because now we have it online. The cool part is franchisees could kind of rip this and put it into their own location for their own team members. We'll provide them the template. My business model isn't how do I sell the most franchises, it's how do I make my franchisees the most profitable. And luckily the way everything is set up, incentives are aligned, and it makes so much sense. And I do think someone starting out, if they want to move faster, I think franchising is a fantastic move. It's almost like getting in business with the guardrails on in bowling, right? Like,
Yeah, you don't got to reinvent the wheel.
you don't got to reinvent the wheel. They'll keep you from going to the gutter, going to zero. So I do think it's a de-risked way of getting into business.
So if I wanted to start one in my hometown of Bellingham, can you give me a discount or maybe hook our viewers up?
Tell you what I'll do for you. For you and the viewers, everyone's going to get $6,000 in marketing credit off of your franchise fee with MaidThis exclusively for UpFlip viewers.
You're going to do that for us. And how
Yep.
is that money going to be used to help my business scale and grow?
A lot of brownies, man. Lots and lots of brownies sending.
Which then results in more customers back to us, right?
Exactly, yeah. So we actually spend it on digital marketing for you. So as part of the franchise system, we do search engine optimization for you. We do social media marketing for you. We do all your email marketing for you. And all of this is done in a discounted flat rate package. So we do that for you guys. And as part of being part of UpFlip, all the viewers are going to get access to that too for free.
We're going to come back to that, but that is an incredible opportunity. Tell me about your quality service guarantee, because not everyone does that. And why is it important for those looking to start the cleaning business
Absolutely.
to have that as part of
You really want to make it easy as possible for the customers to do business with you. And one of those things is like offering peace of mind, right? And say, hey, we do charge a high fee, right? But we're going to make sure that you're happy. If we miss anything by any chance, just give us a call. We'll go back to reclean at no charge. We really want to make sure that every customer is happy. So we're really making a great effort to do that.
Do you pay for this, or is this you market it and say we guarantee it, or what's behind this quality service guarantee?
Oh, it was just really just to convince the people to say, hey, you know, because usually my biggest objection when I'm on the phone is like, oh, maybe it's just too much. It's not in my budget.
I see.
And then that's when I say, well, listen, you know, I have the quality service guarantee. You can choose to go with another cleaning company, but if everything goes wrong, then you're going to have to call me. I'm going to have to redo it.
What is your goal for MaidThis? Give me a 5-10 year vision in a quick.
Yeah, we're on track to hit around 30 franchisees by the beginning of this next year. We are currently at 17 locations. And my goal is really to focus on growing the franchises, right? So I love working with the franchises. A lot of them are people who want to get out of the rat race. A lot of them people who, they're kind of destined for more with entrepreneurship, but aren't really sure what to do or how to get into it. My goal is to help them and actually get out of the rat race. So my goal is to scale the franchise business specifically and just pick the best franchisees.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, it's a pretty good goal. And I think that ties in well to the next question, and that is sort of a moment in your life when it was tough, you wanted to give up. You know, we all go through that, whether it's business related or personal, financial, physical. Anything you want to highlight to us and how you kind of overcame that? I think that would be pretty encouraging and inspirational to all of us.
Yeah. You know, when I was first starting, I honestly, everything I did kind of flopped. I tried e-commerce, I tried drop shipping, I tried digital marketing, and like nothing was really working. I remember getting really down on myself because at the time I just wanted to escape the grind. I wanted to help my parents, but it just wasn't working. And I think a lot of people get into that, right? You hit failure after failure and you're like, why should I keep going? This is kind of cushy. I could just stay in this job, right? I remember after college, I was working at this firm and there was a guy there. His name is Paul. I'll call him Partner Paul. And he was 52 or 53 years old and he was set to retire. And my coworker is like, dude, Partner Paul has $20 million in the bank. Wow. And I remember thinking, this guy's made it. He's figured out the American dream. This is what it is. And within 1 year of retiring, he had a heart attack and died. And if you think about that, and that really set the tone for my early career of realizing like time's very precious. And even though I was getting down on myself and things weren't really going well, what is the alternative? Is it, slaving away for 30 years? Is it working the grind and not being able to provide something else outside of my job? And I think that story has always really resonated with me and it has kind of kept me going to actually try the next thing and try the next thing and try the next thing. And I think that's all people need. Sometimes there's business models which are easier and harder and, those are different things to talk about as well. But a lot of it is just having the motivation to keep going, even if you're not getting early success.
Right. In terms of scaling a cleaning business, what does it need for it to scale? Are there systems, tools? Could imagine there'd be a lot. So give us a quick snapshot.
No, for sure. Well, one of the first things you need to have in place is cleaners, right? Without workers, you can't. Okay, getting a customer is easy. It really is. But if you don't have field workers, you're gonna have to be doing it. And so you really need to have cleaners first, so definitely get at least 2 or 3, and then the second part is will be having a scheduling software. So keep everything organized, so that way you remember to create the invoices, charging people at the right time. So I think those 2 are the most critical parts that you need at the beginning.
I can imagine a nightmare of schedules, 30, 40 units having to be cleaned. How did you deal with that initially?
Oh, it was chaos, just like you said, because there was like really no softwares out there, back in 2015. So I was trying to kind of patch everything. I was doing the scheduling on Google Calendar. I had the invoices on Google Sheets. It was just all over the place until I found the software, and then from there it was fairly easy to scale.
Boom, grow the scale.
It really is.
Okay. Let's talk about a roadmap to $1 million. Give us technical steps of what to do.
Of course. So you're going to want to start with the website. Don't spend a lot on it going forward. And that sounds weird, but what I mean is don't hire a firm that's probably going to charge you $20K when, for one, you don't need a $20,000 website for your service-based industry, especially when you're just starting out. Plan to upgrade it, whether it be bi-monthly or quarterly or annually, but make sure you're upgrading it as you go and as you grow. After that, work on ad spend. Figure out what channels you want to optimize and use so you're not wasting your money. So we don't use Facebook, we don't use YouTube. We strictly use, again, Yelp and Google. Others will succeed in other areas. For example, if you're a pressure washer or a painting company, Instagram is going to be your funnel. It's more visually based. Cleaning does fall under visual, but people look for Yelp for cleaners, not Instagram. So we don't really use those streams. And figure out how much you should be spending. Don't throw $2,000 a month on a spend budget, because for one, you can't handle that traffic if it does come, and 2, you don't know how you optimize your ads yet. You're gonna figure that out through trial and tribulation. And then scale, which everyone tells you, scale, scale, scale. Figure out a good process on when you should be hiring more help. So we typically try to hire 4 to 5 new cleaners a week right now. If you're just starting out, you're probably gonna do once a month. And if you can do 1 consistent cleaner a month for the first 6 months, that 6 will compound to 2 a month to 3, but just don't rush it. Put together a plan and you're gonna see your revenue go up. Again, customer satisfaction goes a long way. If you're growing, but you're also getting bad reviews, you're never gonna hit 1 million. People trust good reputation, and as a whole, people kind of follow what people choose, and that goes for anything, whether it be Rotten Tomatoes for movies or Yelp for service. Get those reviews, get that presence known, so you're trusted by the mass and that social awareness.
What are the 1 to 2 biggest factors, Chris, that contribute to your growth?
I think the 2 biggest factors is having a customer service. It really is that the most important one. And the second one, it's simple, and a lot of people and a lot of small business owners overlook that. But if you think about it, when people are looking for this type of service, they don't have the time to be calling around. So if you answer the phone call, you get it. So that's like the number 1, the most important one. And I think the second one, just investing, 10% out of the gross back into the marketing. So Google ads, Yelp ads, Craigslist ads, I'll never stop that. Throughout the year, I have that. So I think those 2 things, so exceptional customer service and online marketing, you'll grow any business fast.
Austin, for somebody watching this right now who's in cleaning business and wants to reach their first million, I want to turn to you so that you can give us those answers. What's your personal experience? Because you only started with $300.
Right. And this is a tricky question because obviously it's going to apply to different people. Right. Don't fall for this scammy people trying to sell you on SEO optimization or weird software. Do it the right way. And it's the long way, I guess, is get a website built, start reaching out to customers, and invest the money you make back into your company. You want that to compound. So if you make, $25K profit and you go spend it on a Cancun vacation, it's not returning anything. So you could put half of that towards ad spend or optimizing your website. Rule of thumb is make it better. Like, we are still to this day making our system better, and it's just showing that. So make it better, reinvest, and just keep your eye on the prize.
Awesome. Yeah, and for those viewers that reached out to you, Austin, from our first episode interview of you, question is, how did you help them, our viewers, with your experience, just in a nutshell?
Yeah, we had a huge outreach, and a lot of customers asked, do you have any tips or tricks or things to avoid when starting up your cleaning business? A cleaning company out in Chicago reached out, and he needed help with his logo. and he wanted me to do a website audit. I had a couple minutes free, so I went through his website and I looked at his logo, sent him an email on what he needs to change. 2 months later, he sent me an email saying, hey, I just made my first 25K in revenue. Thank you so much. And it worked like that. It's really that easy. It just takes a little bit of navigating and then you can do it.
Early on, we will inevitably make mistakes. You know, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm learning. You've said that a number of times. Just want to highlight one of the biggest ones that you made. You learned a lot from it. What was it?
I think the biggest mistake I made would be not really betting on myself earlier on.
What do you mean?
So what I was doing is when I'd started business, I'd kind of dip my toe in a little bit and take it out. And even with MaidThis, I started it and I started to get real traction from it. And when I was getting traction, I was kind of afraid to spend big. I kind of wish I told myself, dude, just reinvest it back into the business to grow faster because the big money comes later. I do think it kind of goes back to fear. I wasn't sure if this was going to work or not. Therefore, I said, you know what, let me hedge my bets and let me just take out half, do it and half done to it.
Yeah.
And I think I would have grown so much faster, saved 1 to 2 years of growth or sped up growth if I just kind of bet on myself earlier on. And I wish I told myself that.
Why do you think cleaning businesses fail, Chris? What happened?
I think the number one reason cleaning businesses fail is because the lack of customers. So they don't know how to bring more customers. So it really comes down to that. And then the little customers they have, eventually they cancel.
Is it a good idea, or do you think there's a downside to growing a cleaning business too fast? Like what?
Yeah, I think that also creates a lot of problems when you're growing too fast. I guess what you need to focus at the beginning is put your processes in place, and then you stick to them, and then that will make it even easier for you. And actually, you still scale fast, but in an organized way. When you
process growth disaster.
Disaster is a recipe of disaster. I think it happened to me in the first year. We were growing fairly fast without systems, and I had everything inside my head. It was like terrible.
Only for so long.
Yeah, for so long. And then but that's when you start implementing systems and what can you do to make things better. Yeah.
Super important. How do you deal with customer disputes as a business owner? And does that happen often when they dispute prices, experiences, etc.?
Yes, and it actually has happened more often during the pandemic than ever before. Ways we kind of go about disputes is the customer technically is always right, and you want to at least listen to them. Technically, there are going to be times where a customer is obviously in the wrong, but you cannot lose your temper or lose your head when it comes to that issue. Find a resolution, whether it be a discount or a re-clean or some type of additional package at no cost, and see if they can't resolve it there. Or if they're just not being understanding, just drop it. It's better not to feed into the anger or the negativity and, make yourself look bad to other prospective clients or customers.
When you say drop it, is that a full refund? Thank you so much. Kind of leave it at the best.
Just don't respond. Give initial response, obviously, but if it just keeps on going down the rabbit hole, just let it be.
Those people that complained and once you've figured it out, resolved it, have they ever left a positive review?
Yeah.
You had that?
Yeah. It's like a 70%, chance that they're going to, reverse that, but they want to show that you care.
Okay.
They want to make sure that the business owner isn't just all about money, and he wants to see, or she, see the customer with a positive, experience.
What would you do differently now that you have 10 plus years experience in running and managing this business? What would you do differently if you could go back?
I think I would have quit my job earlier. I think if I just bet on myself, I could have got more traveling in. I did go to South America. I traveled a lot. I traveled across 50 countries, but I think just doing that earlier and just having a little bit more of that experience earlier, I think I would have got to the same place faster, and I would have grown my business faster if I just bet on myself earlier.
What stopped you from doing that then, now that you look back? Was it just fear?
Fear, not really knowing the next step. I didn't really have a guide. I was figuring out on my own. I didn't know if I could do it. So even though we hit my freedom number, I was still scared. What if this thing went bust? What's going to happen to me? So I thought, you know what, let me just stay a little bit longer, cushion up my bank. But now that I know what I know now, I could have grown so much faster if I just went full-time on this way sooner.
So you just then at that point, not knowing what you needed to know, hire someone that would walk alongside you? Is that what you're saying?
Hire alongside me, join a system, figure out that there's other people who've already done what I want to do. I'm not reinventing the wheel here. Cleaning's been around forever, right? Someone once told me that there's people less wise than you who will probably already accomplish what you want. And that kind of really stuck with me when I realized it's not really about how smart you are or anything. It's really just about getting going and conquering that fear and actually trusting yourself. And I wish I knew that a little bit earlier on.
Awesome. Well said. So for those watching right now who want to get into this cleaning business, what would be 2-3 pieces of advice to them?
Well, the first thing is definitely start investing in paid ads. Even though we grow fast, I think I spent maybe a year and a half, almost 2 years doing free ads, meaning Craigslist ads, flyers, posting on Facebook groups. It works, it really works. But if you really want to grow your business to the next level, you need to start looking into paid advertising. Google came up with this new platform, which I mentioned earlier, Google Local Leads, that is specifically for home service business. They charge you per call. If they don't buy the service, you can challenge the lead. I tried it for like a month. I said, let's try it again. I was blown away. I remember that was on August of 2018.
2018, okay.
By September, I was now struggling finding people because now I had found like the best source of business. So now I had a problem of finding employees, which is a good problem to have.
So clearly you're being blessed, I can say, via consultants that you connect with and find the right ones and you spend and invest in them. How much have you spent on consultants that have connected you with everybody else?
My tax accountant says $38,000 in total.
Well, it's not a scary number.
No, well, it can be a scary number for someone that's just starting. I get that, but I've been here a little longer. It's about who you're taking advice from. There's people that have been doing it, and how I see it is I'd rather invest in building a team of qualified professionals that can help me in all sectors. Like legality is huge. I wish I would have invested in legality earlier, but I didn't.
Having the right legal team?
Oh yeah, it's huge for trademarking your name so you don't get stolen underneath your... We almost lost Spruse when we were franchising. Someone tried taking it underneath our feet because I didn't trademark Spruse.
Wow.
So do those concrete things first. And yeah, it's hire the right people. You don't know everything. You're never gonna know everything. So again, swallow that pride pill, reach out to have some help. And I think it's important to really see who you're around. And I know that's like the typical thing to hear is surround yourself with people you want to be like. It is 100% true. I look up to my advisors and they respect my decisions and they'll give me sound advice when I need it. And that's the advice they've given me has gotten me here. Yeah. So when I hit a roadblock, they advise, hey, you need to do this.
Yeah, you guys, this is huge. I mean, this guy started with $300, right? And now we're talking an evaluation of close to 14 million. Of course, you know what you're doing, but it's the consultants that are helping you get here. And
it's ironic. Money is less important when you start seeing it develop. So I want people to understand that money isn't everything. So just look at the growth of your company when you're building it. That will be a sure sign indicator that you're making more the larger it gets.
Now we're gonna head back to the house, drop off all the laundry. And before we do that, I'm gonna give you tips that are gonna help you, especially if you wanna get started into the Airbnb cleaning business. So tip number one, all right, when you're starting, it's gonna be very hard for you to charge the rates that I have. I had to start from the bottom, and that's okay. At the beginning, you're gonna have to get anything and everything, just to get experience. Don't be afraid to not do it, but make sure that you get reviews, because the reviews are gonna help you get your reputation higher. And then the moment you start getting better reputation, you're gonna stop taking on the smaller units. These units can only charge so much per night. Sometimes they only charge $150, $120 per night. So that means they can only afford $60, $80 per cleaning. Otherwise, it will not make sense to them. You wanna stay and keep these type of units. 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom. Why is that? Because these units usually charge $350 to $400 per night. They can absolutely pay you $250 or $300 per service because they can afford it. Tip number 2, this is don't do the laundry on site. A lot of hosts will tell you, okay, I want you to do the cleaning and laundry on site. That's a no. 99% of the time you will finish cleaning first, and now you're gonna have to wait for the laundry to finish. It's gonna kill your profits, it's gonna make you waste time, and you're not gonna like it. You're gonna get burned out pretty quickly. Laundromats in my area, they charge me $2.97 per pound. So what I do, I tell them, hey, listen, I have a professional laundromat that's gonna do your linens. They're gonna be taking care of well. They charge you $2.97, but because I'm gonna do the traveling and do the packages, I'm gonna charge you $3.79. So I make $1 per pound without really touching any inventory. And that's really not what makes me money. It's just an advantage for me to not worry about the laundry. And that saves me so much time. All right. And point number 3, this is important. Act like you're the property manager to them. A lot of these people don't live here. For example, the owner of this unit is always traveling. Right now, he's in Bhutan, Asia. He doesn't have time to deal with this. So what I do, Hey, if I see a problem, take pictures, document it, send it to him. There's something broken, take pictures, document it, send it to him. They'll have peace of mind, they don't have to worry about anything, and if there's anything wrong, you're gonna act the point of contact to take care of those problems for them. And that's how you make money in this industry.
I mean, is it just you or 3-4 things you could say that really contributed to you getting to this point?
So I do want to shout out Jackie behind me. She is my secretary technically, but
Hey, Jackie.
without her, this would not be here.
She's been with you for quite some time?
Almost since the beginning. She actually was a cleaner when we first started.
Okay.
So she basically runs Spruse Cleaning as of now. Brian, who is my confidant, he's my right-hand man for everything when it comes to figuring out logistic issues. And then obviously the team here at Spruse, we all put a lot on the table, and I think it's because they trust what we're doing, and we're selling on the fact that we're not cleaning forever. You know, work hard right now, we're gonna work within the offices or be part of the franchise sales team. There's room for growth for everybody, and I'm not trying to sell them on a pipe dream. I want people to do better, and we want the medium income to be higher here.
That's awesome.
And people love that, and that's why we're succeeding. It's a team-based effort, and I just want to reiterate, team. Don't be a boss and bossing people around. Have a little bit of humility and be told what to do from your own staff, because you're not perfect. And once you get that controlled, we've grown so fast, and I think that's important.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've heard business owners contribute more success to themselves, and it's awesome that it's all about the team. And
it's not about me, I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Yeah.
It's not even partially about me. I just make small, bigger decisions day to day. They do all the hard, heavy lifting, and I recognize that daily.
And what do you tell people watching who always ask the question, well, I don't have the money, therefore I can't start any businesses, right? Can you start this particular business with 0 to very little money? You've had $1,000. What if I have less? How would you spend it now with your 10+ year experience? What would your advice be?
Yeah, let's say, first of all, you have to choose your business model wisely, right? If you don't have that much money to spend, you're limited in terms of what you can do. So you're gonna pick what I call remote local type of business, which is one where the labor dispatches to the job directly. Right? You're not gonna have an office, you don't wanna spend money on that. You don't wanna spend money on vehicles, equipment, supplies. So what business model lets me do it from my computer, so I don't have overhead, but the labor is gonna dispatch to the job site directly. Cleaning, for example, like MaidThis is one of them, but there's a lot of other. There's mobile car washing, there's mobile pet grooming, there's a lot of things you can do using that premise. Now, if I was getting started 10 years ago and I had absolutely no money, the first thing you absolutely need is still a website. So I'd figure out a way of spinning up a website, and there's so many ways you could do a free trial website now, or a website for $20. Next, I'd go online and try to find labor. Now, there's tons of ways of actually finding labor, but the easiest way without spending money would be going to like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, finding people who are advertising their services. Next would be, all right, I gotta find customers. And we'll get into actually all the cool marketing tactics on being able to do that, but I would run some marketing tactics and funnels, and there's things where you don't need money to do to get customers. And that's how it'd start from ground zero.
When a cleaning business is struggling, what would your one piece of advice to them be in terms of identifying it, getting over it, and growing?
I guess it really comes down to what you said, identify what is really causing the problem, what's stopping you from moving the needle forward, and then fix it. In my case, I'll give you a good example. When we started, I did not like the fact of doing in-person estimates. I was the bottleneck. I decided, you know what, let's change it. Let's make it faster, let's make it easier. So I started selling over the phone, and then voila. My wife was not a fan of that, because she's like, how can you sell it without seeing the home? I'm like, obviously we're doing it this way and it's not working either. Let's try to see the other place. So always try different things, right? You never know. You struck, a lock at the first time you change, and then, move on from that.
And is that the only way you price? People can't get a proposal online via form yet?
So I actually have 3 different ways. So, and then I found out that there's different types of customers. I have a booking form where you can literally go and buy. You don't want to talk to anyone.
I see.
You can definitely go and sit and do that. Put your
baggage, whatever.
And then select it, and then we'll go and take care of it. The other way is like people don't like to put the credit cards online, so I have a quote form as well for that.
Interesting.
So like, okay, just give me your information, and then we'll email you, and then we'll call you to provide you with a quote. And then number 3 is over the phone. Hey, tell me how big it is, how often you need it, do you have any pets? And then based on that, I'll tell you the price. And of course I said, hey, this quote is, subject to change based on the actual condition of the home.
All the entrepreneurs watching this, 3 pieces of advice in general.
Again, make sure your customers are happy. Make sure your staff is even happier, because they're the ones doing the work for you, making you the money. Second, Always strive to better your platform, regardless if it is your system and operations, your website, how you talk to your customers. Write scripts out, make sure they're perfect. Third, slow. I reiterated this so many times. Stop rushing for something. You're gonna make money if you do it right. Money isn't always everything, but if you're gonna, do it right, take the time to learn it, and make sure the experience that you're giving is perfect from start to finish.
Man, awesome. This has been great. I really enjoyed it, even more than the first time.
Thank you again.
It's our pleasure. Well, this has been awesome. I've learned a lot. I always do. I trust that our viewers have. What would you like to leave with our viewers as far as pieces of advice for entrepreneurs? Anything on your heart, mind, and soul, whatever you want to say.
Yeah. Honestly, when I got started, I got so stuck into, like I said, watching YouTube videos, podcasts, courses, everything without just trusting myself and getting going. If I could have told myself something back then, the advice I would give would be just trust yourself. Worst case, it fails, you learn a bunch, you keep going, but trust in the process and keep going. That's how you actually achieve the success or lifestyle you want out of just the 9 to 5.
Sweet, man. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks so much.
Likewise. Looking for another path to cleaning business success? Make sure to check out episode 207, where 2 desk workers break down how they turned $158 into $58,000 a month window cleaning company with 0 experience. Like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.